Alhamdulillahi wahda, wassalatu wassalamu ala man la nabiyya ba'da. Ahlan wa sahlan ila maktabati. Inshallah ta'ala, I have 3 books I'm going to share with you. 2 of them are new to my library, and one of them is older. It's been in my library for a few years. However, it is directly related, so I figured I would share it, inshallah ta'ala. The book that we are discussing today is Mandhumat al-Adab, which was written by Sharafuddin Muhammad ibn Abdul Qawi al-Mardawi, who died in the year 699, as we can see here. Al-Mardawi from Marda, which is in Palestine. He died in the year 699, as we can see. He was from the Hanbali madhab, and he wrote this poem called Mandhumat al-Adab. He actually has 2 poems, Mandhumat al-Adab. The first one is also known as Al-Alfiyatu fi al-Adab al-Shar'iyya, 1,000-line poem in the legislated etiquettes or manners. And it is 947 or 48 lines. I don't remember. 947 or 48 lines. It's not exactly an alfiya, not exactly 1,000, but it's estimated or rounded up to be 1,000. The other one is Mandhumat al-Adab al-Sughra. The first one, Alfiya, is also called Mandhumat al-Adab al-Kubra, the big one. Here we have al-Sughra, the small one, and this has 261 lines of poetry. 261 lines of poetry. From those who spoke well about Mardawi, and many people have, as we can see that there is explanations of the book by As-Safirini. This is the one, the 6 volumes here that we're looking at. This As-Safirini, who is also, he died in the year 1188 of the Hijra, who is also from Palestine. He's also a Hanbali scholar, famous for many books in Aqidah and Adab and stuff similar to that. Anyway, Imam al-Dhahabi, rahimahullah, said about al-Mardawi that he's an imam, a faqih, and usuli, and so on. And he said that he himself had met him and has an ijaza from him. So Imam al-Dhahabi took from al-Mardawi. Tayyib. In this book, you can see here, this poem. That's why I pulled out this one here. You can see in this 6-volume book, they actually outlined the poem there for you to see the entire poem. 261 lines. 261 lines. Tayyib. While we're here, we'll look at this. This is called Ghidha al-Albab Lishar Mandhumat al-Albab Mandhumat al-Adab. Ghidha al-Albab Lishar Mandhumat al-Adab by Imam As-Safirini, who again died in the year 1188 after the Hijra. He wrote this famous explanation of this 261-line poem. And this book here, these 6 books, are 6 risalas, 6 rasail doctorate, 6 doctor's theses from the University of Medina. Each one of them went through and did the tahqiq and the takhrij of the hadith, made sure that the words matched up with the manuscripts and so on of each part that they did. So, for example, in this first part by Dr. Abid al-Thubaiti, he says he did the first 25 lines of poetry. Just the first 25 lines of poetry. This book is printed by Dar al-Bashair and also in partnership with Lata'if, which is here in Kuwait, and they are a basically a non-profit or a waqf, meaning they sell things, but they sell it at a cheap price. Here we can see that he has quite a long introduction, Imam As-Safirini. But then let's see when he gets into the actual lines of poetry. Here we go. Like here's line number 2. It has the poetry. And then here we have the explanation. Here's the line. وَصَلَّ عَلَى خَيْرِ الْأَنَامِ وَآلِهِ وَأَصْحَابِهِ مِنْ كُلِّ هَادٍ وَمُهْتَدٍ. And then here he goes and explains lugatan, what each one means, what each word means if necessary, and the explanation of it, right? And as we can see in the 6 lines of poetry, this book here, this volume is almost 500 pages, and each of them are similar until number 2 is a little bit bigger, right? Number 2 is a little bit thicker, but if we say basically almost 3,000 pages explaining these 261 lines. There are indexes in the back, although they could be more detailed. Each person in their doctoral thesis brings his resources. So, for example, the resources used by this doctor just in these 25 lines of poetry are 302 resources. 302 resources, right? So, this is his doctoral, and this is this book. Before we get into the big one that I showed you, this is Al-Lubab fi Ikhtisar Ghidha Al-Albab. This is by a brother here named Kuwait, a brother here in Kuwait. His name is Ata Allah ibn Nayef al-Aslami. MashaAllah, the brother is very young. I would say he's in his 30s. I don't know his exact age. I'd say he's in his 30s. However, he has this book, which is a summarization of this book, of these 6. What he did, and it's also printed by Lata'if, and I believe just by Lata'if themselves, and Imam Maktabat Imam al-Dhahabi. He summarized these 6, he says here, by number 1, just summarizing the meaning of what the author intended as far as explanation. Just summarizing the meaning. If he went on at length, he just would summarize his speech without adding anything to it. And if there was a word added to it just to make it make more sense, he put it in between these brackets. Also, he stuck to the explanation that was found in the Quran and in the Sunnah, the Sahih Sunnah, and left off, for example, statements of the Salaf and so on. He just stuck to the Quran and the Sunnah, and he got rid of all weak hadith. All weak hadith. And anything, like he said, which repeated what was already said earlier on. So he summarized that these 6 volumes in this 1-volume book. It's very nice. 2 color, as we can see, 2 color cream paper. Very nice. It just doesn't have our bookmark, man. They don't like to put these bookmarks in here. It does have a fihris. It does have the poetry at the end for those who would want to memorize it. Anyway, this brother here, he also has a book, this Ata Allah. He also has the 2-volume fihris that he did for Sheikh Muhammad ibn Adam al-Ethiopi for his Sahih Muslim. He's the one who compiled that and presented it to the Sheikh. And the Sheikh decided to print it and add it to his book. This book is the one that's been in my library for quite a while. Ittihaf al-Tulab Bishar Mandumat al-Adab. So gifting the students with the explanation of the poetry about adab, which is by, as we said, al-Mardawi. And the explanation here is by Sheikh Saleh ibn Fawzan ibn Abdullah al-Fawzan, Hafidhullah Ta'ala. Sheikh Saleh al-Fawzan. And he actually did this in audio around 21 years ago, something like that, around 20, 21, 22 years ago. And then it was turned into a book form. Unfortunately, here's the poetry here, but it's not numbered. You know, when it's numbered, you can kind of, you don't have to go through and write the numbers in yourself if you want to say where you stopped at or learn, pick up where you left off at. But this is the poetry of Mardawi, explained by Sheikh Saleh al-Fawzan. And this book here is 951 pages, counting the table of contents. It is a very strong cream yellowish color paper, but it's only one color, but it's still very nice. We can see the poetry here and the explanation of the Sheikh below. The poetry and the explanation of the Sheikh. It's very nice, mashallah. The poetry is nice, dealing with adab and akhlaq, and this is something that the Salafis themselves have been falling short in. You know, a lot of times we talk about adab and akhlaq, and, you know, we think that it's more important, and it is more important, to have the proper adab and akhlaq with Allah Azza wa Jal. But sometimes we're harsh and we're rough and inconsiderate of the people and those who have not been able to learn what we have learned or come across and have the experiences that we've had, which have brought us to the point where we are. And therefore we forget where we came from, because we all come from a point where we did not know anything and Allah taught us. And we think as if that we maybe always were on Salafiyah. We always were knowing the right way to eat or the right way to do this or that. And we have bad akhlaq with others who don't do that, who don't know those things and who aren't Salafi. And so I think and I believe this is why Sheikh Saleh Al-Fawzan and other than them have focused on this poetry, because it is so important for us to focus on our akhlaq and to be better and to do better in dealing with one another. I have this book, which I shared with you guys the other day, Adab Talib al-Ilm, from the books that were from Sheikh Abdul Muhsin Al-Qasim. And this is the etiquettes of seeking knowledge. The etiquettes of seeking knowledge. And wallahi, something just looking through it and reading through it, grazing through the table of contents and stuff, trying to see what it contains. It has a chapter about, let's look before that. Okay, the student should make dua. He should do extra worship, not just the fard. He should make qiyam al-layl. He should be diligent in the dhikr of Allah. He should make tawbah and istighfar, right? Then there's another chapter about being righteous to the parents, connecting the family ties, and fulfilling the needs of the people. Fulfilling the needs of the people. And then another section dealing with having good character, being truthful, having a wide open chest, meaning to have an open heart towards others, right? These are things that you might not even think about related to seeking knowledge, helping the people. This is how the Prophet ﷺ was. This is how the Anbiya were. They did not just help them in their deen, they helped them in their dunya as well. They fulfilled their needs when they needed clothes. They helped them at'imu ta'am, afshu salam wa at'imu ta'am. Give salams and feed the people. The Prophet ﷺ said when he first came to Medina, feed the people, right? Not just give salams and visit the sick and follow the funeral procession. No, at'imu ta'am. Feed the people as well. Feed one another. Eat with one another. Share. Sit down. Share with one another. And this is from the adab. This is why I wanted to share these books. These two are new ones to me, and this one is old, but it's related. So I hope you guys benefit from it, inshallah ta'ala. I hope you enjoy this video, and if you get your hands on these books, inshallah ta'ala, just all the better for the Muslim world in general, since we'll be increasing our akhlaq. And akhlaq, as we know, is one of the heaviest things on the scale on the Day of Judgment. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.